Let me paint a picture for you. You're in your late 20s, maybe early 30s. You got a steady job, you're making decent money, not rich, not broke, just comfortable. You get paid on Friday, you feel good, you grab takeout, maybe upgrade your phone plan, buy something small on Amazon that feels earned, and you tell yourself, I'll start saving next month when things calm down. But next month never really feels different. Your bank account goes up, then back down, then up a little, and somehow, despite working hard for years, you constantly feel like you're one step behind where you should be financially. And here's what most people don't realize. It's not because you're lazy or irresponsible or bad with money. It's because there are systemic money traps built into everyday middle-class life. Traps that look normal, feel justified, and silently keep millions of people stuck. Here's the thing, most people never even notice they're in them. Before we break these down, I want to set the stage properly. My name is Arsh, and I spend way too much time thinking about relevant financial topic. If you're someone who described the viewer's financial struggle, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Look, my goal isn't to judge anyone. I get frustrated because I see good, hardworking people doing everything society tells them to do. Go to school, get the job, pay the bills, and yet they still end up stressed, living paycheck to paycheck with nothing to show for years of effort. So in this video, we're going to walk through 5 of the biggest money traps that almost every middle-class American falls into without realizing it. And more importantly, we're going to talk about the psychology, the math, and the practical steps you can take to escape them. And trust me, the 5th one is where it gets really interesting. Trap number 1, the lifestyle creep loop. Here's what most people don't realize. The biggest jump in financial stress doesn't happen when income is low, it happens when income goes up. According to multiple Federal Reserve consumer surveys, a large share of Americans increase their spending almost immediately after receiving a raise. It happens quietly, a slightly nicer apartment, better furniture, more nights out, upgraded streaming plans, a slightly newer car. Nothing feels extreme. Everything feels reasonable. But here's the psychological trap. The brain doesn't notice these as spending increases. It labels them as quality of life improvements. The spending becomes the new baseline. And once something becomes normal, it no longer feels optional. Let's look at the math for a second. Say you get a $6,000 raise. That's an extra $500 a month before taxes. After taxes, maybe $350 actually hits your account. Now, instead of investing that $350, it slowly disappears into tiny upgrades. $40 more on groceries, $25 more eating out, $30 phone upgrade, $50 subscription creep, $100 nicer apartment, $80 miscellaneous, little things. None of those decisions feel big or dangerous. But here's the thing. That $350, if invested at a modest 7% return, turns into $171,000 over 30 years. And instead, it becomes nicer takeout and a slightly more comfortable sofa. Now, you might be thinking, Arsh, I work hard. Am I not allowed to enjoy my money? Of course you are. The problem isn't enjoying money. The problem is mindless escalation. Lifestyle creep feels harmless because it grows slowly. It trades long-term wealth for short-term comfort in a way that doesn't feel like a trade-off. Actionable step. Lock in any raise or bonus by automatically routing at least 50% of it into savings or investments before lifestyle adjustments happen. Make the new habits fight for permission instead of becoming the default. This is where financial momentum begins. Trap number 2, the debt normalization trap. Look, debt used to be something people avoided. Today, it's marketed as a tool, a lifestyle enabler, a normal part of adult life. Car loans, credit cards, buy now, pay later, travel points, financing for furniture, phones, laptops, vacations, everything. And the psychology behind this is powerful. When payments are monthly, the total cost becomes invisible. Let's talk real numbers. The average new car payment in the U.S. in recent years has hovered near or above $700 per month. For many middle-class families, that is their second largest expense after housing. But here's what most people don't realize. That $700 car payment over 5 years? That's $42,000. And after interest and depreciation, that car might be worth $15,000. Now imagine instead, $700 per month invested for 5 years at 7% returns equals about $49,000. That is a $34,000 swing created by one financial decision. And yet, because the payment feels normal, harmless, and socially accepted, it never triggers the same emotional alarm system as throwing away $34,000. Now, you might be thinking, yeah, but I need a car. What am I supposed to do? Walk. This is where it gets really interesting. You don't need to avoid cars. You need to avoid status-based car decisions. Psychologically, people anchor their vehicle choices to identity, job position, friend group, perceived success. In many middle-class environments, the car isn't transportation, it is social proof. But transportation does not have to be expensive to be reliable. Actionable step. Commit to a rule. Never finance more than 20% of your annual income into a vehicle, and ideally, buy used and keep it longer than the loan term. Let transportation be transportation, not a wealth anchor holding you in place. Trap number 3, the homeownership illusion trap. Here's the thing. Homeownership can build wealth, but not automatically. And not always. Most people don't buy a house because the math makes sense. They buy it because it is culturally framed as the ultimate financial achievement. According to government housing and finance datasets, homeowners often underestimate the total cost of ownership, property taxes, maintenance, insurance, interest, upgrades, sometimes by several $1,000s per year. Let's run a simple example. You buy a $400,000 home with a standard mortgage. Over the life of that loan, depending on rates, you might pay $200,000 or more in interest alone. Now layer on $4,000 per year property tax, $2,000 to $3,000 per year maintenance, $1,500 insurance, repairs, furniture, appliances, upgrades. Suddenly, the true cost of ownership looks very different than the sticker price. Now, you might be thinking, but renting is just throwing money away. This is one of the biggest psychological myths in personal finance. Rent is not throwing money away. Rent is the cost of housing consumption, just like food is the cost of eating. The only difference is that ownership forces you to pay additional hidden costs you may not be emotionally prepared to recognize. Here's what most people don't realize. The financial benefit of homeownership does not come from the house itself. It comes from discipline, consistency, and forced savings behavior through principal payments. Meaning, if you applied that same discipline to long-term investing, some people would actually come out ahead without owning property at all. Actionable step. Do a full cost of ownership calculation, not just mortgage versus rent, before buying. Only purchase when you would still be financially stable without home price appreciation. That is when a house becomes a tool, not a trap. Trap number 4, the future self will handle it trap. This is one of the most psychologically dangerous traps, and almost everyone falls into it. We assume future us will be more disciplined, more motivated, more financially capable. I'll save more when my income is higher. I'll invest once things settle down. I'll worry about retirement later. But behavioral research consistently shows the opposite. People who delay saving rarely catch up. Life gets more complex. Kids' medical costs, aging parents, unexpected expenses, and financial margin shrinks instead of growing. Let's look at two people. Person A saves $300 a month starting at age 25 for 10 years, then stops. Person B saves $300 a month starting at age 35 and continues for 30 years. Same total contributions. At retirement, person A often ends up with more money because time in the market beats effort in the market. Now, you might be thinking, but I don't have extra money to save right now. Here's what most people don't realize. Saving is not about having money left over. It is about choosing to prioritize it first. The brain defaults to lifestyle spending unless savings are automated. And when saving isn't automated, the decision becomes emotional, which means it loses almost every time. Actionable step. Automate a percentage-based contribution, even if it's small, and increase it gradually. The goal is not to suffer. The goal is to make progress feel normal. When savings becomes the default behavior, wealth stops feeling like a fantasy and starts becoming a mathematical inevitability. Trap number 5, the identity-based spending trap. This is where it gets really interesting. Most financial decisions are not logical, they are identity-driven. People spend based on who they believe they are. I'm a good parent, so I should provide X for my kids. I work hard, so I deserve to enjoy myself. People in my career level should look a certain way. I don't want to seem cheap. None of these sound unhealthy. In fact, they often come from positive intentions. But the problem is that identity spending can grow endlessly because there's always a more expensive version of any identity. A good parent can always buy nicer things. A successful professional can always upgrade lifestyle. A generous friend can always overspend socially. And here's the thing. Advertisers know this. Marketing no longer sells products, it sells identity validation. You're not buying shoes, you're buying confidence. You're not buying a vacation, you're buying time freedom. You're not buying a kitchen remodel, you're buying the feeling of being an established adult. This is why many middle-class Americans feel trapped even with decent incomes. They are not competing against other people, they are competing against their own internal identity expectations. Now, you might be thinking, so what, am I just supposed to deny myself everything forever? No, the solution is not deprivation, the solution is alignment. Spend aggressively on a few things that genuinely improve your life, and cut ruthlessly on things that only exist to signal status or relieve emotional discomfort temporarily. Actionable step. Ask one powerful question before any major purchase. Is this something I truly value, or is this something I feel expected to value? That single question can save tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. Bringing it all together. Let's zoom out for a second. None of these traps feel dramatic. They're not gambling or high-risk speculation or reckless behavior. They're normal, subtle, socially accepted financial patterns that quietly compound against you over time. And that's what makes them so dangerous. When you break free from them, you don't just improve your finances, you change the entire trajectory of your life. You gain margin, you gain control, you reduce stress, and you finally feel like your effort is actually leading somewhere. Here's the thing, you don't have to fix everything overnight. You don't need perfection, you just need direction. Start by identifying one trap that resonated with you the most in this video. Not all 5, just one. Because once you break out of one financial trap, the others start becoming easier to escape. Look, I get frustrated not at people, but at the systems, beliefs, and habits that quietly sabotage good, hard-working individuals. You deserve a financial life that rewards your effort, not one that constantly drains it. And if this video opened your eyes to even one pattern in your own life, then here's your next step. Share this with someone you care about, a friend, a spouse, a coworker, someone who might be stuck in the same cycle without realizing it. And of course, if you want more content like this, where we break down the psychology and math of money in a way that actually applies to real life, make sure you're subscribed and let me know in the comments which trap hit hardest for you. Because awareness is the first step, but action is what changes everything. I'll see you in the next one.